guys have shown me a lot. Your critical thinking skills is way ahead to where I was when I was in your seats, right? You guys ask incredible questions, think outside the box, not only just read headlines, but get in depth as to what's really going on. So today, I brought in a special guest, somebody, right? I ran for public office. I said I wanted to be an active citizen in our society, give back, give back ideas, work ethic, but there's an entire process to that, right? There's an entire election process where there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. I chose my role a little different, right, to be the elected official, but there's a lot of people who do a lot of work behind the scenes in campaigns that work with people. So back in 2012, when I said I wanted to run for public office, I didn't know what I was doing. I jumped in. I said I want to run for office. I was running against somebody who was in office for 12 years. They had the governor's support. They had everybody's support. I barely had any money. I had like I think at the time, $18,000 in my campaign account. But there was 14,000 people that I needed to talk to, right? So imagine that, $18,000. Fast forward, when I ran, just to give you a good comparison, when I ran for mayor in 2016, I had $120,000 in my campaign account. And to communicate to the same amount of people. So in 2012, I had a tough time, but I was very fortunate to meet somebody who not only does an incredible job with what he does every day, but has become a very close friend of mine throughout these years and helped me win that race. He helped advise me throughout the process. He's like, Manny, these are the homes that you got to knock on. He created an entire list. He knew who I needed to speak to. He knew who we needed to send mail to, created an entire process. And not only does he help people like me, but he helps out people that run for president. He helps out people that run for governor, helps out people that run for U.S. Senate, county mayor, all the top positions in our nation. And I asked him to come join us today because I know you guys are going to be interested one day, hopefully, getting involved in public service. But even if you don't, there's other ways you can get involved. And he's going to give you examples of that. But start preparing those questions because he has literally participated in presidential campaigns, not just holding up a sign, but when it comes to the strategy, when it comes to, knocking on doors, getting teams, sending out mail, he does it all. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you guys to not only a friend of mine, but my campaign manager, Emiliano Antunez. You gotta go on stage.
Hey, Mustangs, let's give ourselves a big hand here. All right. So how many of you, ever thought of running for president or mayor or senator? I want to see some hands here. I want some future clients. All right, let me see. All right. I'll give you my card when I'm done. Hey, so do you have student government here? Do you have do they have student government? Okay, so who's student council? Okay, who's in the student council? Okay, so you had to run for student council, and your classmates had to vote for you, correct? Okay, so when you actually thought about running for student council, was there any one of you that wants to talk? Go ahead, or you just speak out. Was there a plan? Was there a strategy to that running for student council? Did you promise an extra helping of dessert at lunch or something like that for your classmates so you could get their vote or something? Yeah, so who's on the student council? Raise your hand. Okay, over here, get up, come on. Okay, what's your name? Come on, don't be so shy, you ran for student council. You're a politician, get up here. There you go. There you go. All right, so what's your name?
Marlene.
Marlene, okay, Marlene, so what's your position on the student council?
Well, I promised everyone that I'll give them back lockers because everyone was like a bit sad about not having lockers anymore.
Sad about not having lockers?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, and that worked, right? See, it worked?
Yeah, kind of.
It was good, right? You won by a lot or? Man.
Some.
All right. There you go. All right, thank you. So when you're going to run for public office, when people come to see me and they say, well, I want to run for mayor or for council or, you know, whatever, congressman or whatever, you know, when you're running for the first time, the first thing you have to do, or the first thing you should do, is you should take a personal inventory of yourself. Meaning, you should, first of all, know that you want to commit the time to running, because it does take a lot of time. I mean, Manny Sid is an example of that. He knocked on close to 7,000 doors on his first campaign in Miami Lakes, and that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to go out there every day at 3 or 4 o'clock and not stop till 7 o'clock. On Saturdays and Sundays, you gotta go and knock on doors starting at 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and you'll go to, or even earlier sometimes, and go to 7 o'clock. So that's a lot of work and a lot of time, especially when you have family and you have kids and you have a job. It is, you know, it takes a lot of sacrifice. So that's the first thing you need to do, is look at yourself and say, can I commit that time that I'm gonna need to get this office? The second thing you need to do is, every campaign that is gonna have any modicum of success is gonna have to have some sort of money. Like Manny said, he didn't have a lot of money in his first campaign, but he had some, because you're gonna have to send those mailers out, you're gonna have to have people knock on doors for you, you need people to make phone calls for you, you need to communicate, and sometimes, you know, communications cost money. So you need some, you don't need a lot, you don't need more than the other guy. Some people have a lot of money and still lose, but you need to pick up money. So then you have to make a list of, and that's where you find out who your friends really are, of people you're gonna have to ask money to run for this office. Because the special interest groups are usually gonna go with somebody else, or the incumbent. In Manny's case, there was an incumbent, and they're gonna go with that person. So that is the second thing you have to do. And the third, and it's just as important as the other three, is you have to look at everything you've done in your life, you know, everything that you've ever done, and good or bad, and especially the bad stuff, and ask yourself, if everybody found out that I did this, could I live with it? That means, you know, if you're running for 6th grade student council and you bullied somebody and for their lunch money in 5th grade, you know, it's gonna come out. They're gonna bring that out on you. I mean, in your case, as you get to be an adult, these problems become bigger. And everybody's different. Some people have a higher tolerance for things coming out. Some people have a very low tolerance for things coming out. And that's a very personal decision, and something that you're gonna have to look at internally and say, well, do I run or do I don't run? Because if this comes out, it's gonna bother me, or maybe it's not gonna bother me, or it's gonna bother me a little bit, but not enough to keep me from doing what it is I wanna do as an elected official. So, you know, so once you've done all that and you've decided to do it, then you go look for somebody like me, somewhere in the gutter. No, just kidding. You go look for somebody like me, and what I do is basically try to guide the candidate. The candidate has their own ideas, or should have their own ideas. The candidate of what they want to do when they become mayor, commissioner, congressman, president, whatever it is they want to become, they should have their own ideas as to what they want to do. What I do is just facilitate how they communicate that, you know, to the voters, and which voters to communicate to. Because in elections, unlike your student council election where everybody votes because you're here and they probably make you, but you have to, a lot of people don't vote. So a lot of people don't vote, so you have to go after the people that actually do vote. And that's part of my job, is to tell you, look, you know, out of the 10,000 people in the city, in the town of Miami Lakes that live there, I'm just throwing out numbers, but here are the 2,000 people that are gonna show up for your election. And out of those 2,000, here are the 12 to 1,500 that would probably vote for you, and here's 500 or 800 that won't vote, that probably won't vote for you, so we're not going to concentrate any time, effort, or money, or very little on those people. We're going to concentrate on the people that actually do vote for you in order to conserve your money. So that, and then, once we go through all that, we get to election day, which is a very anxious day for the candidate, because you've worked all this time, for myself as well, because it's a big effort, but mostly for the candidate. You've put all this effort in, and you're sitting there, and you're waiting for this result to come out, and you have no clue, and you have an idea maybe sometimes, but things, you never know for sure what a bunch of people, how they're going to vote. So you sit there and you wait anxiously until that time comes. That the polls close at 7. 20 minutes later, the results start to come out, and that's when you see it, and you're either very happy or you're very sad at that point because you didn't win or you won. In Manny's case, he's 3 for 3, so we're good, 3-0 here. But there are other times I have other clients that don't get there, and it is what it is. You move on. Or I've had clients that have lost their first time and have come back to win, and and move on through many other seats and have won many elections after that. So it all depends on your level of commitment to what you want to do for your community. And just because you lose the first time doesn't mean you're going to always lose. So whatever. But if you're fortunate, you'll win that first time, and and keep winning throughout. And the way you keep winning once you get there is to provide good service for your constituents, meaning, grown-up problems, but traffic. I'm sure when you drive to school, you guys notice the traffic. How to fix those things. That the streets are clean. That there's less crime out there. And those are the things that not only as a candidate, but once you get elected, that if you do well by the people that elected you, that's how you continue to be elected, over and over again. So with that said, are there any questions? Nobody? Okay, I got a question over here. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and repeat that.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. What big time people have you helped run and who won?
Okay, well, as far as that, I've been close to, and I've worked on their campaign. Carlos Jimenez, who was a congressman and was the county mayor. On a presidential campaign, I was the Hispanic coordinator nationwide, and I was the Florida field coordinator for Ron Paul, which you guys are probably familiar with, which is an old guy that ran 12 years ago. So who's the father of Rand Paul? I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's a U.S. senator. So I've worked on those campaigns. As those are the national type of campaigns. But I actually enjoy more working on the local campaigns because you get to meet more people and actually get a feel for more. When you do those big campaigns, you're dealing with hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of people, and you don't really get to connect with people. But on these smaller campaigns, like in Miami Lakes, Homestead, North Miami Beach, where I do a lot of stuff as well, it's, you get to actually meet the community and see the differences in every community and what the important things. There's some things that are similar in every community that people want, but then there's things that are unique to each community as well. All right, any other questions? Do I like doing what I do? Well, tricky question. No, I do. I really like what I do. I've done a lot of things. I actually graduated from dental school a long time ago, so I'm a dentist. But I owned a used car lot for some time here in Hialeah. I also financed a Hopefully I didn't sell any to your parents. Anyway, well, I owned a I owned a finance company for cars, and I've done real estate, and then since 2004, and for the last 18 years, which for me is not a lot of time, but none of you were born yet, I've been doing this. So, and I do enjoy it. Because it brings all those elements together. Because when you're in politics, when you do politics, you get to deal with business as far as like what they can, like laws that you pass for business, and you get the political side of it. So you get both ends. Right.
What made you pursue this career?
Well, I always kind of liked politics, and I was a business person, and I ran for office once. I didn't win. I ran for mayor of the city of Miami. So I didn't win, and but I was always more interested in business, and what I saw as a candidate was that there was very poor service from the people that did what I do now. So I bought that business aspect of it as to actually being able to deliver stuff and that you get what you pay for to this business that didn't have that before. There.
How do you know how many people vote?
Okay, so you look, your voter when you turn 18 and you register to vote, your voter records are a public record. Meaning, if you vote, we don't know who you voted for, but we know that you voted in certain elections. So based on that, somebody like me would look at your voting record, and we would know if you vote in municipal elections, national elections, or all elections, and how, we would rate you as a voter, so that's how we would know whether to contact you or not for certain elections. Yeah.
What year did you start doing your job?
And I started this in 2004. It was just basically I was at a radio station, and a candidate for county mayor walked in, and he didn't speak Spanish. So he had a translator, but the translator was horrible, and I ended up translating for him, and he ended up hiring me, even though I didn't do that at the time, ended up hiring me to do his Hispanic outreach, and then from there on I kept doing, what I do now. So that's why it's very important to speak more than one language. It's very important to speak, English, Spanish, and if there's anything else, French, Creole, or whatever that you can learn, go out and by all means, always. But.
What car do you drive?
I currently drive a Jeep Cherokee. Great. But hey, I'll let you know, I used to, when I was in the car, I had Porsches, Lexuses, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, 911, Convertible and Targa, there you go. All right, go ahead, Joe.
Do you help every candidate that comes to you, or are you very selective? And if you are selective, what do you look for in that candidate?
Well, yes and no. I mean, if we ask the candidate, if they have a commitment, I look at whether they're committed or not. I do not look at their ideology. That's not my, some people that do what I do it based on that. I don't. I just look at the person's personal commitment to actually running and serving in their community, and if they're willing to do it, I don't, there have been candidates I have turned down. They're very few, but, all I ask them to, and they all commit to it at least at the beginning, is that they give the time and the effort, especially in the local elections like the town mayor or town councilman, to meet the actual people that they're going to represent. That's very important. If you're not willing to do that, then you shouldn't be representing anybody. Any other questions? Okay. Wheels. No, just.
Do you prefer waffles or pancakes?
Waffles. Hands down.
Which is healthier for your teeth?
Huh?
Which is healthier for your teeth?
What?
Which is healthier for your teeth? Pancakes or waffles?
It doesn't matter.
Which? What? I guess I got a dentist question. What's? Yeah, it was. That's why he asked it. Because what's healthier for your teeth, pancakes or waffle? They're they're both okay as long as you don't put syrup on them. But I can't eat them without syrup. So there you go. So just make sure you brush after. Go ahead. What? Okay, she asked, what's one common trait that I've seen in all the candidates that I won? It's, either the, and I'm going to say either one the first time or one or one subsequently to losing, and that is they're really committed. They're really committed to actually going out there and meeting the voters and to putting the time and effort to winning an election, because it's not easy. It's not easy to get elected. Okay, I'm going to go back to you, but go ahead. Yeah, yeah. I've had one candidate that I'm going to mention that Danny knows. His name is Anthony Rodriguez, and he ran for state representative. The first time he ran, he lost. He lost by 100 votes, and nobody knew who he was. And he ran against somebody that was known, and he came back the next election and won. And and now he's running for county commission, and he's the favorite to do that. So he came from he lost the first time, but he stuck to it. Okay. All right, Ori.
Have you ever doubted yourself about what you do?
Huh?
Have you ever doubted yourself about what you do? Like not believe in yourself or stuff like that?
Everybody has their moment of doubt and pain. I don't think there's any exception to that. So, yeah, there's times when you lose, you thought you were going to win and you lost, and you have those moments of like, it's just what I should be doing or whatever. But you get up the next day and you just like everything else in life, you keep going and you keep moving forward. And if you do that, if you're persistent, 90% of life is just showing up. Yeah, I guess you had your hand. Oh, somebody over here. All right.
When you were younger, did you ever want to pursue something else than what your current career is?
Well, when I was, when you're young, you think of a lot of things that you want to do. I, thought I would be an attorney, a lawyer. So I ended up going to dental school. How that happened, pre-law, pre-dental, it's all the same. But so I ended up in dental school. I did graduate. I found that it didn't really do anything for me. I started a used car lot, and that went well and whatever. And then I started financing used cars, and then I sold that, and that went very well. And then I got into real estate, and then I eventually into this. So you guys weren't even born yet. I don't think even Manny was born yet, but back in the 80s, there was an old Nissan commercial that said, life is a journey, not a destination. So yes, always have goals as to what you want to do in life, but, be flexible if there's something that you find that you really like and, it's different than what you're doing right now. Be flexible at least to try and move in that direction. If it works out, great. If not, you can always go back to what you were doing before. But don't, like I said, have goals. But if something seems to move or you seem to like something a little bit more than that, then go ahead and go ahead and make that move. Go ahead.
What has been the most challenging obstacle in your career?
Challenging obstacle. Well, it was kind of getting in to when I first started, because when you're in this business, the people that are already there already have somebody like me. so they, it's very hard for me to get in. So it was very challenging at the beginning. Actually, by the time I met Manny, I had some, but I would have to run a lot of campaigns which was good for me in a way, because it taught me to do things more efficiently. That I had to run campaigns with very little money, and the person was going up against somebody with a lot of money and a lot of name ID, and I learned to win those races, and that's how I started to get more and more clients. So that was the most challenging part, was getting started. Getting started is usually the most challenging part of anything you'll probably want to do in life. Okay, who else?
Like, in your time, like, with helping people, like, run for office, has there anybody been to blame you for losing?
You know what? I don't think so. No. Most of my clients that lose, if they run again, they will call me to do their campaign. I don't think there's ever been one that I can remember that didn't do that. And as a matter of fact, I recently did a campaign for a client in Coral Gables who I was more upset at her, and she actually called me to calm me down from being mad at her than her at me, because I put a lot of effort into the candidates trying to win, and up to now everybody's seen that. So it's no, I don't unless, and they haven't told me. So and like I said, the biggest proof of all is that I do have a lot of clients that have lost, that when they decide to run again, come back. Okay, got somebody.
What is a challenge that your client has to face?
Well, there's a lot of challenges to running for office. Like I said, the biggest challenge, there's two biggest challenges, is one, the time and effort that they have to put into it. It takes a lot of time to run for office. You have to meet a lot of people. You have to knock on doors. You have to go to a lot of events. You have to go to radio and TV shows. So it takes a lot of time out of their day. So, and people have to work for a living. Most of my candidates do, or not all of them. So that's a big thing. And the other thing, the most difficult thing, is asking people for money for your campaign. That's very difficult. All right. Anybody else? I got this. I'm good. All right. Tough question. But, in this business, what you learn to do is, like in the business that I'm in, I from a business perspective, I don't have an opinion myself. But I do meet a lot of people with opinions, and there's a lot of people with a strong opinion that think that Biden, for some reason, is better, and some people, for some reason, think that Trump is better. And, they have their own reasons. Sometimes it has to do with how they were raised, or where they're from, or what kind of business they're in, or what station in life they're in that they have. But people have different opinions. You can see the elections are very close sometimes. Yeah.
Do you have a family member that wants to pursue the same dreams as you?
As far as, well, I have one of my daughters. I have 3 daughters. So, and one of them is in law school. So, possibly. The other one just graduated from FIU from health management, and they're twins. And her twin actually graduates now from FIU in public relations. So maybe that one will join Dark Horse one day, But she's got a degree in she's getting a degree now in public relations. Anything else? All right.
Hey, so before you leave, 2 more stories about Emiliano that he taught me. So what's really cool about campaigns nowadays is that it's on your phone, right? He told me to download an app on my phone, and every day he would put into that app, it's GPS location type of app. Every day he would put in a list of people for me to visit. So I remember, and this is one of the lessons that I learned, I would go to a neighborhood in Miami Lakes, and I would step into the neighborhood. The app would show me in the middle of the street, and then it would show every house. But every house had a dot on it. And what was fascinating was I would see it. There was a dot here, and then it would skip 2 homes, and then there was a dot there, and maybe it would skip a couple. And I remember asking Emiliano, I was like, why are we skipping homes when we're campaigning? Shouldn't we knock on every door? And he told me, he goes, those people aren't going to vote. No matter what you, and it's sad. It was one of the saddest moments, I think, for me as somebody who loves civics, who loves active citizenship, to know that there are thousands of people in my community that elect not to participate in our democracy. And he was right, because I remember skipping those homes, and at first, the first time I went out, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to skip them. I'm not going to listen to them. And I knocked on those doors, and I tried to convince those people, but unfortunately, he was right. We ended up going back after the election, and all the people that he told me weren't going to vote, thousands of people, they didn't vote. And these are folks that are adults already, and they skip every single election. And that's one of the reasons why we have this Civics Academy, which is a brainchild of your principal, Principal Mackey, is to make sure that you guys create lifelong habits. Because imagine if you're an adult and you skip all those elections, you're pretty much giving up your voice. And I see that happen every day. And Emiliano was one of the ones that taught me that. And I saw that I won all the elections by listening to him. So if I would have spent all that time knocking on doors of people who didn't vote, I probably would have lost the election, because of people that do vote, I wouldn't have had time to visit them. So think about how fascinating that process is. So I really, really appreciate Emiliano teaching me that. But it also is one of the motivations behind the Civics Academy, to make sure that you guys don't make that same mistake that some people make in my community. Another thing, too, and you guys were asking Emiliano questions about candidates. More than a campaign manager, he's my friend, but he didn't share this, he has fired clients in the past, right? He has, which is interesting, because he sets such a high bar for his clients. When you sit down with him, he tells you, hey, I'm going to commit to you, but you need to commit to me that you're going to knock on 5, 6, 7,000 doors, that you're going to raise money, that you're going to talk to people, that you're going to do town hall meetings, that you're going to, and everybody tells him yes, right? Because everybody that wants to get involved is like, yeah, I'll do it. But he's had clients, one of them is a really close friend of mine, who ended up not doing what they committed to. And Emiliano just sends him an email, hey, are my services end today? You know, good luck with your campaign. And so that's one of the reasons, not only I wanted to invite him here for you guys to hear of all the campaigns, but the high ethical bar and moral bar that he sets for clients, be it presidential clients, gubernatorial, Miami-Dade County mayor, mayor of Miami Lakes. You know, you got to have that threshold. It's not just about, you know, making money, but it's also about making that difference, which he sets the bar high for his clients, that they have to listen to people. You got to know your community. You got to get involved. But we appreciated him spending time today, and I think one of the bigger lessons that he taught you guys was to be nimble in what you want to do, because he shared with you guys, he's a dentist, and he's never practiced not one day of his life. He went to school for all those years, became a dentist, and when he came back, he was like, I don't want to do this. But he was nimble enough to create other avenues of things that he loved. Owned a car lot, sold that, owned some buildings, sold that, ran for office. He didn't win, but he didn't give up. And now he's one of the most successful campaign managers, campaign consultants in Florida, right? But that teaches you guys something where you guys can't just say, hey, I'm stuck with this. Follow your heart, follow what you love. He's a great example of that, not only on the civic side, but I think just in your path in life. So a big round of applause for Emiliano Antunez, Dark Horse Strategies. I know you guys have a special presentation at this moment.
Thank you, sir. Emiliano, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Awesome. All right, folks.